I'm gonna teach you how to use your legs in the clean, and we're gonna start right now. We are here with the current Pan American champion, the current US national champ, and the youngest female ever in the history of the United States to clean and jerk double bodyweight, Haley Reichert. And Haley can probably clean more than 99% of high school male football players. So any male football players, you guys better step up and start cleaning better, especially after you watch this video. Anyway, the whole goal of the clean, and if we can think about, moving from the floor, making good hip contact and catching a large amount of weight. The whole purpose here, and the reason why it transfers really well to various different sports, is because there's a big strength component, there's a large amount of power output, there's a large amount of speed, and there's a large amount of force absorption that goes into executing the clean properly. And if you know how to utilize your legs and you know how to execute with your leg strength, it's gonna transfer really well to dynamic trunk control, to explosiveness, to improving your vertical jump, and even just absolute strength, because you have to increase how you absorb that energy and how you squat out of the bottom in that front squat position. We are gonna dive right into this now with Haley as our model, and she's gonna show us the first key position while we're using the garage strength dowel rod is gonna be focusing on what our legs should do from the floor to the knee. And that means the barbell or the dowel rod to the knee. So initially what we wanna do is first wanna establish our proper foot stance, where our feet are gonna be in our stance. And typically we wanna just use about a foot length position to get that width established. So Haley knows where her foot stance is gonna be, where her stance is gonna be when she's pulling. And this is going to be, very similar to where your back squat might be, slightly more narrow probably than your back squat, but just for simple sake, take the length of your foot and put your foot at the end of the other foot, okay? So I know it goes like this, right there, okay? Or if you're doing a vertical jump, that can be your pulling position. So now the next thing that we wanna focus on is pushing our knees forward and having our butt come back as we get into that start. There you go. So as Haley's starting, we want our knees to be almost directly in line with our toes, and our chest is gonna be in line with that as well. So now we have that knee flexion and we have hip flexion, and we have a slight bit of dorsiflexion at the ankle joint. So the whole point now, the first position with our legs is going to be, we want to extend our knees, okay? So we're gonna extend our knees and get the bar to the bottom of the kneecap. So Haley's gonna demonstrate, good. Okay, back down, give me 5 of those. So the first key here, extend the knees while holding hip flexion. Good, give me one more. So this is gonna be predominantly from that hamstrings and from the quads to lead to that knee extension, which then will take us into that next position. Okay, so the next position is gonna be focused from directly below the knee to just above the knee. And so I call this a reciprocation point. This is where we want to start to see contact being made. And if you watch Haley, especially on her heavier clean and jerks, that bar will stay very, very tight to her hip, and that also helps her stay really vertical on the finish. So our whole point here in the position, the second position, is we want to see the bar stay tight to the knee. So the knees will come back, and then we'll get into that reciprocation point, which is where we're gonna then lead to the third position. But Haley's gonna demonstrate this, so I want her to show knees come back and then through, back, through, back, through. So back, so you can go back a little more. Back, yeah, good. So the whole point here with our legs is the knees will extend, okay, and then they start to flex. That's a big concept here, and that's gonna lead to a co-contraction with the quad and with the hamstring. So our whole lower back's gonna stay tight. We're gonna extend, flex the knee, and we're still holding that hip flexion. Extend the knee, flex the knee, okay? So that's where we wanna see the knees clear back and reciprocate forward. So give me like 2 more here with the dowel. Back, so extend forward, yeah. Extend. Good, perfect. Okay, so that's the second position, and that's how we want to utilize our legs from below the knee to above the knee. Okay, so the next position, we're going to switch over to actually utilizing a barbell, and we're going to show you that third position will be from the reciprocation point. So it's basically going to be here into the hips, into the catch. And so This is a key concept where I believe a lot of people might get confused because they think that the hips come through last, okay? And I think in most cases, the hips will come through and the knees will extend almost at the exact same time, or the hips come through first and then the knees extend on the finish. It's almost always either together or the hips are first and then the knees. So Haley's gonna show us from above the knees, so from the reciprocation point into that catch position. See if you can get two in a slower, like a slow-mo almost. Good. See if we go a little slower. Yeah, there. One more like that, and then we'll talk about how we're utilizing our legs. Good, perfect. Okay, so how is Haley utilizing her legs in this third position? If we can think, we're here, okay, at the reciprocation point, so remember, the knees started to flex. As the bar comes up, now we're starting to extend our hips. So the bar will come up the thighs by extending our hips here, okay? The hips come in, they make contact with the bar, so we're extending the hips with our hamstrings and with our glutes, okay? We come through, and after we make contact here, there's a slight knee extension, okay? So that knee extension, and then we will get up onto our toes likely. Now, a little brief rant about triple extension. I believe that the best way that you can coach movements like weightlifting movements is keeping it really simple, but also keeping it with the cue of staying flat-footed as long as possible, bringing the hips through, extending those knees rapidly, and the byproduct will be getting onto the toes. The toes will plantar flex, or the ankle will plantar flex in some athletes tremendously, and in some athletes it will barely even happen. Actually, Jacob Horst and Yuri Vardanian, these are guys that when they would clean, they would barely plantar flex. So is triple extension real? Maybe, yes, but you don't need to coach it, okay? It just happens from repetition. So again, we're gonna focus on, we wanna bring those hips through. We have knee flexion, bring the hips through with the glutes and the hammies. Now when we make contact, we have knee extension from the quad, and then that will also lead to that plantar flexion. Okay, so that last position will be actually receiving the bar. Okay, so what we wanna think about now is what happens with our legs when we catch the clean. I believe Haley receives the clean better than anyone possibly in the entire world. Maybe not the entire world, but at least in the US, I would say she's top 3 or 4 on men and women on how she catches the clean. She very often will catch a really good bounce, a really good stretch shortening cycle out of the hole. Sometimes she has to hit that double bounce depending upon the pull, but she's very good at absorbing the energy, at absorbing that force. So Haley's gonna show us that clean catch and then standing up fast. And that's gonna be what we focus on then after we discuss how the legs are used in the catch. Yeah, full clean. Good, give me 2 more. So think about how she's wrapping the elbows, throwing on the brakes and getting out of the hole fast. Give me 1 more. Good. Okay, so she comes out of that third position where the hips extend, the knees extend, a little bit of plantar flexion, okay? She slides her feet, and that's a key component behind rapid force absorption. If we're jumping our feet all over the place, we can't throw on the brakes. Okay, so she's gonna ground flat-footed, and when she grounds flat-footed, the knee will travel forward. So there's gonna be knee flexion, there's gonna be hip flexion. So the quads and the hamstrings together will help break against that upright position, against that bar. And then as we get into the bottom position, we're gonna have a nice stretch shortening cycle. So we're gonna have a little bounce out of that bottom position, and then that's gonna lead to driving through the quads, driving through the heels, standing up with the bar. So it's really, really important when we're thinking about how we use our legs in the catch to brace quickly and to wrap fast with our upper body. And I even like to use that cue is where our elbows will drive up and push through our heels, and that's gonna help our quads and our hamstrings co-contract together to really absorb that energy. And ideally, you want just one bounce out of the hole to drive up fast. And this is where it's gonna transfer really well to a lot of sports, is that if you have athletes that struggle with getting that stretch shortening cycle, now they learn how to absorb that energy and they learn how to use it to recruit rapidly out of the hole, and that's gonna transfer really well to the sports performance world. So utilize all of these keys from those key 4 positions, and that's gonna improve the way that you utilize your legs when you're executing your clean technique. If you need help, click on the link down below, head over to garagestrength.com. You can pick up one of our weightlifting programs to help you smash those PRs and eventually one day become a Pan American champion like Haley Reichert. Until next time, guys, peace.